Well, hello, and good day to you. I am speaking with Dave Parker today. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Dionne. Good to see you this morning.
Well, thank you. All righty. So you're with the Free Energy Party, a Facebook group on which is all about free energy, organic permaculture, and natural cures.
May I say that we are, in fact, but that you're identifying who we are before we get into your actual questions. And I want to say that we're not just a social network Facebook group, but that we're a legal political party in the United States of America.
Excellent. All right. So, therefore, let me go on to the first question, which maybe you can answer all the more. All right, can you identify us and state our goal?
The Free Energy Party was formed about February, about 3.5 years ago, and by a gal who's not with us anymore, along with myself as founders. And we both founded it upon a tripod position of free energy, cures for diseases, and organic permaculture as ways to bypass the petrochemical monopoly, which has taken over in three major areas, purchasing government and leaving us all pretty much slaves to what Mussolini defined as fascism, an economic control of our government having been purchased by multinational corporations. And so basically we have free energy to stop the destruction of the environment and to stop war over oil. And we have free energy answers, stop the petrochemical monopoly in the area of pharmaceutical monopolies.
Okay.
Over 90% of the pharmaceuticals are made from oil and from war over oil. And so in any case, the same thing for big death agriculture is we have monopolies that have purchased the government and they're selling chemicals. Basically, people are selling chemicals all around us in destructive and deleterious ways. Chemicals, fluoride, someone sells that.
Yes.
They sell that and put it in the water. And, whether chemtrails are true or not is a separate argument we're not going into today.
Okay.
Trust and know one thing, that if chemicals are being dumped out of airplanes, somebody's selling them.
Oh my goodness. So we're just drowning in chemicals everywhere we go, it sounds like.
Right. And so natural cures can replace the petrochemicals in big death pharma and in the death of agriculture that we see with GMOs and things like this. Natural answers wind up not only curing diseases, but they grow right out of the ground.
Wonderful. I mean, isn't that a solution now?
So to carry this free energy party into the mainstream the way that we would like to,
Okay.
Pardon me?
Oh, continue on. Sounds very interesting.
To carry it into the mainstream the way that we would like to, we need an overground demonstrator of free energy, as well as overground demonstrations of cures for diseases and eco-village demonstrations of farming methods that use natural organic permaculture methods. And so to do this, it's not that hard to set up a permaculture demonstrator, and it's not that hard to set up a proofs of peer-reviewed, double-blind control studies showing cures for cancer, diabetes, heart disease, arthritis. These cures exist, but in a disease-motivated and profit-motivated industry, those cures are not on the market. But it's not that difficult to show in traveling with press conferences and in giving speeches. It's not that difficult to show those proofs by citing them, by telling people where the studies were done, and blowing up placards and showing people proof that exists. So that's not that hard. But what is hard after 150 years of monopolistic suppression is coming up with a free energy demonstrator to be able to accomplish what we would like to accomplish. We would like to make people precious instead of gas and oil being precious, while people are genocided in countries over their oil, and the people are worthless. You know, we don't like the screams of babies, and we don't like blood on American hands, where 53 to 69% of our money that's taxed from us is spent on bombs.
My gosh.
Now, to do something about that, we need to reverse the grid and make people the power producers. So we need power from the people to actually realize the power to the people that we all heard about from hippies. So to make this happen and to make this real is not an impossibility, but we need demonstrators of free energy answers. And there are many free energy answers that have been documented, independent lab documented around the world over history, but there just aren't any that the monopolistic restraint of trade has allowed onto the market, because that's what monopoly means. That's what monopolies do. A lot of people use the argument, well, if it's real, it would be on the market.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the opposite from that. The opposite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with something of this nature. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we're about. But the hardest thing is to come up with the proof of the free energy technology that's powerful enough. Like, for instance, in the Philippines, we have friends. They're able to stick the two opposing metals into salt water or in water, and it'll light a lamp or light or charge a laptop or charge your phone. But that's not aggressive enough to reverse the grid. So what we need to do to make the people the power producers is we need to reverse the grid.
Absolutely.
You know, we need to make enough power that we're able to sell it back up grid. And so to do that has been a difficult undertaking.
I see.
But it's not impossible. It's just taking longer than we had hoped.
All right. Well, so you talk about a free energy demonstrator. So what have we done so far to find that?
3.5 years of a long, hard road. I'd been on this path most of my life, so we can count those years too. That'd be 120. Just kidding. What we've got when I first walked on board is I can demonstrate high mileage by vaporizing fuel is an invention of mine. And when we say mine, we're not thinking of ego. It's just something that I spent a lot of time and I developed and I did.
Sure.
All world improvement and standard of living and quality of life breakthroughs belong to the people. You know, you can't say my generator, right?
Sure.
Okay.
It's the world's, you know, it's eventually this is going to be for not just you, not just me, but for the world.
Yeah. You don't want someone walking into the room with starving babies and saying, my food, do you?
Absolutely not.
Right. So as I researched these things over the years, I had an idea of many of the most profound things that I wanted to investigate to see if they could be developed or made real in our lives today.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started out then, we invested private money into trying to build the Joseph Papp technology, which uses plasma to expand the gases to move the cylinders. And John Rohner had a patent that our James Bond, he copied that, but it didn't work. So John Rohner's technology, his duplication of Joseph Papp's work didn't work. And so we still have that. Our secret agent built it with the typical finesse that he always uses. Great, clean, tight, beautiful, high-tech work. And much of it we can use to test other things. And it's possible that it can be made to work, but if so, we're still doing one experiment followed by the next to see what Papp's secret is. So we continue to work on that. And it looks like that our James Bond has an idea recently that I'll just say that it's revolutionary, that he thinks is the secret. But so it's hopeful, but it's taking a long time. I personally invested many $1,000s in the technology shown on Shark Tank by Richard Willis, who was using spintronics, principle proven to be real, involving quantum tunneling, shown to be real in computers. So is a free energy principle real in computers, in the computer industry? But that it had not been so somebody said it's not real, it's real. But it had not been applied over to free energy area before. And so he went on Shark Tank and he showed this thing working. And it was sort of a gamble. And a lot of these things are gambles. And we at that time, I didn't share with anyone and say, do you want to like get involved with this gamble? Okay, I took the gamble myself.
Okay.
And so the bottom line is we have, I spaced out for a second because I realized I scratched my nose. And this girl from France, she saw me do a video where I scratched not my nose, but near my nose. And she said, that means you're lying if you.
Oh, not you. You wouldn't lie. Come on, this is too important for you to lie about.
Well, no one said I'm lying. I said she said when speakers are talking and they rub their nose like that it's some kind of secret language in Europe or culture or something somewhere. I don't know what it means. But anyway, so if we have anybody in the Free Energy Party going to give a talk for whoever believes in that kind of bull crap, just try not to scratch your nose. But anyway, I just wanted to say that Richard Willis went about it wrong. We invented the concept of underground manufacturing in terms of the word wasn't even on Google. When you search Google, you couldn't even find it. But Richard Willis had already gone public with all of this, and he was kind of afraid for his life. And it fits the situation where you don't know, did he fail to deliver the goods because he was afraid for his life? Or did it never work correctly at all? Now, at that time, Raza had basically introduced us to Richard Willis. And Raza claimed that he personally had gone there and worked with them, and that he had a friend that worked with them, and that he saw it working. So when more critical people like, Simon Derricut, is that the way you say his name? I'm not sure. On Revolution Green, we don't have a negative word to say about him except that he's extremely critical, and maybe he's an example of the most critical scientist that you could find to kick the tire.
I would just say that. Maybe sometimes being critical is a good thing.
Yeah, we think it's a good thing. But when we start out at this, if we have someone, we're holding them up and saying, maybe there's something here, we don't want everyone to gather together and beat them to death. So being critical is one thing, but stoning someone to death named Galileo, that's not good.
No.
All right. If the Wright brothers say that they can fly an airplane, don't just kill them. Give them a chance. Give them a fighting chance. And so the Free Energy Party believes in independent laboratory documentation.
Yes.
We didn't have a connection in that area as strong as we have now when we first started out. And it was easier for people to lie to us, and it's easier for people that were wrong and genuinely, excuse me, for people that were genuinely misinformed to go on being misinformed without us able to prove what worked and what didn't work, you know. And so my nose genuinely itches. So anyway, I just want to make it clear that we didn't have a way to validate an independent lab inspect everything the way that we do now. Okay? And we have the head of a test lab that works with us now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great friend, and you don't get to know his name because we had haters that called everyone and tried to stop us. We had haters that make up lies and try to ruin us. And that's typical because when you have a monopoly, you have restraint of trade and you have trolls. Haters are just voluntary trolls, and sometimes they'll take money because why work for free? Just because you're a hater doesn't mean you can't make money at it.
Wow.
Anyway, so the bottom line is simple. We saw that Richard Willis seemed to fail us. He seemed to fail us and fail everyone else. Now, he can blame it on whatever, and we're not saying whether it's true or not, because we did not independent laboratory examine the technology. We didn't get a chance to do that. Okay?
Right.
All right. And then the next thing is that, and so, you know, we could say, oh, we lost our money and we're very bitter. But the fact is that we don't know whether his stuff worked or not. We know he went about it wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
And why he did.
And you can have people, they'll jump on board, critics, and they'll say, well, it didn't work. That never, did you independent laboratory document it? No. Did you have it put before scientific examination? No. You know, when Wasif Kaloon put forward a video of magnet motor that had magnets all around it, everybody gathered around and began just to verbally kick him to death. I had to go on there and say, you know, leave him alone. It's like you don't know for sure if it works or not. Don't beat our inventors to death. You know, there's something about it that is very medieval. Where you want to just psychologically or socially beat people up like some kind of Red China cultural revolution. Did I hear you were painting again or writing poetry? Well, we better beat you to death.
Oh my goodness.
So if you're going to be critical of science and critical of innovation, you better get ready just to have a destroyed world. But anyway, we had a group on the Free Energy Party Facebook group that has subgroups where you can discuss people pitching in and helping fund something. We pitched in money to buy from an inventor who claimed that he could run the generator on water.
Okay.
And then we ran a fundraiser, and that fundraiser we raised about $3,000 or $3,500, about $3,500. No, now that I think about it, the total amount didn't go through the fundraiser, so other people pitched in, but the total was $4,000 total. Every single dime went to the inventor, and so we've got his name, we've got his address, we've got the receipts for sending him the money. Every single penny went to this builder in Kentucky. And he then began to take forever delivering it.
Mm.
And so we drove so as not to lose our investment, to protect our investment, and we picked it up.
Okay.
And he was claiming that there was a problem where with the timing arrangement that resulted in bending a rod. So our James Bond invented, and we put open source instructions on how to set the timing electronically on generators that can be run on water
Okay.
or on vapor, which requires advancing the timing a bit. And so at that time, and around that time, we had also invested and actually had another fundraiser where we raised about $3,000 to get Steve from Florida, who he felt that he had a Cumogen type device, which means a generator running off of a motor powering it, that you could somehow wind up with a free lunch in there, you know. And so I also took out a personal loan for $3,000. So totally, it was about $6,000 then.
Wow.
Because it took a lot just to get the guy moved,
Sure.
and so we moved him to a property. People tried to act like it was my property, but no, it belonged to the nonprofit, which I am the director of the nonprofit, the World Improvement Network. And the World Improvement Network had a property where they were tearing down trailers and fixing up trailers. And the haters tried to take pictures from the air and say, look at this mess.
Ridiculous.
They tried to act like that there was something like poor trailers. Right when you could go to worldimprovement.net and see the project and a picture of the mobile homes, which we gave a tax deduction for, and fixed them up to give to people that were in a flood or fire that had no insurance, and to give to them for free. So the bottom line is that they tried to act like, oh, this is the Free Energy Party headquarters.
Oh, goodness.
No. Or this is Dave Parker's residence. No. What it is a place with a lot of apartments because of the mobile homes that we're fixing up and giving to people that were in dire straits that we were able to move inventors into. So we moved an inventor, allegedly, it was, we'll say his name started with a K. And he worked allegedly as an inventor of a Paul Pantone technology. He seemed like a really nice guy. And then he started taking Prozac and announced that he was angry at the world, and he was threatening people. And so we told him he had to move, not because he had personality issues, but he wouldn't work. He wouldn't work. So then he left out, and then this other gentleman came who had claimed that he had invented a flashlight that would had like a crystal cell power supply. And on Laser Hacker, he's got crystal cells, been running motor and lights for over 2 years. So it's a valid technology. But then the guy got here and then bragged that, I must correct myself, he didn't brag, but he openly stated to me that it didn't work. And so you can't offer something or fundraise on something that you're telling behind the scenes to your associates doesn't work.
Of course not. That's fraud.
And so I wasn't very pleased about that. And
you can imagine.
Yeah, and so I made him move. So I personally made both of these people move. And if they want to argue that or whatever, they joined the hater group, which was some other people that had been in positions that had basically, under whatever circumstance, stepped down from those positions or been asked. We just won't go into it to make things even worse, right?
Fine.
Basically, they weren't doing those jobs anymore, and now we're bitter people. Bitter and the people that had taken their place. Okay? And so actually people that are working with us became haters and started a hater group. All right. But anyway, as a project property, that property was a place where we could do what people had offered to do, whether it was Stephen Greer or whether it was Foster Gamble or whether it was Michael Tellinger. People had offered to try to give a place where inventors could go to, and they had like not done it. And we wanted to try to do that. We wanted somebody to keep their word. So without any real preparation, we invited, come on down, come on with it. And so with Steve's Tech, a couple of things went wrong, which drug it out into like virtually 9 months. And we had to order 2 separate generators because of a meltdown and that occurred. And so it was, say, about the 10th month in that we discovered that our independent laboratory was able to document that there was an actual reading problem, that there was a problem when we say reading in the way that it's tested.
Sure.
Now, Steve didn't know about this, or he likely wouldn't have done it. And he was very sincere. And he said, well, I did have things working properly before. I just need to order the exact stuff I did before. And I haven't got the money to do that right now. Well, we had ordered stuff 2 or 3 times or more. And so we're not saying that it never worked, and we're not saying that it won't work in the future, because the Edwin Gray motor was proof that capacitive discharge is a real phenomenon. And regenerative acceleration with Thane-Hines is proof that you can bypass the back I'm thinking about some other things, but the back EMF.
There you go.
I'm just trying to make it where people can understand it. It's like every generator is also a motor fighting itself.
Okay.
So if you run it without a load, then it deceptively looks like you've got over unity.
I can understand that, correct.
But if you put a load on it, it begins to fight itself with this back EMF.
Sure.
So the videos that we did showing that with no load, we did that on purpose because that's called virtual energy. That means if you could bypass the back EMF, you just did a demonstration showing what's possible.
Yes.
The amount of energy that you could have if it wasn't fighting itself.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time then, we had haters fighting with us saying, oh, why did you do this way? And why did you do that? And they didn't even know anything about technology.
Oh, well, how about that, huh? Leave the novices to make the final decisions on what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, so Steve's unit got put on a back shelf, and other units we had our independent lab examiner look at. Jesse, maybe I'll just say his first name, like I did the last mention.
Sure.
Yeah. And so Jesse came to us, and he had bought the plans for a unit advertised by Creative Science. I knew this guy from Creative Science. not by meeting him personally, but years before, he and I had talked about the mega pressure pump, an invention of mine, and he had, um, and so I know what his real name is, but I'll avoid saying that. And the name that he's using online is not his real name. And he had basically let me down after signing a contract with me to sell this device. He contacted Shell Oil behind my back, and then he got scared, and then told me what he did and all of this, and then basically it ended our attempt at a business relationship. But I also gave him various breakthroughs, as I've done over the years with Rex Research, with Robert Nelson there at Rex Research, to try to further raise the level of knowledge around the world of energy answers that have historically came out and been suppressed. Knowing that a breakthrough is not a breakthrough that does not break through, I collected these breakthroughs that did not break through. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the bottom line is that this Jesse got this plans and built this device, and it looked like, and he thought that maybe it was over Unity and it was working as the guy was saying, but there was a test and instrument reading error in the meter, in the way that the meter was used. And to explain that, I know I didn't explain the one before because it's more technical, but I'll explain this one. Basically, the meter is designed for 220. And if you just connect 110 onto it, the meter doesn't work. And so when you think that it's not showing on the meter and even going backward a little bit, mm-hmm. It's not. It's just not working.
Okay.
Okay. And so our independent lab owner solved this. And Jesse is an example of someone who really was looking hard for something. We don't want to beat these people to death. We want to congratulate them. We want to congratulate them for trying. Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're trying and we're glad. Okay.
Absolutely.
So moving on, while we are still working and the status of the water power generator that we first financed is secret at this time for reasons, because we have haters and trolls. We will say that we have lined up 2 technologies that we're hoping to show in demonstrations around the country. One is a breakthrough that has been independent lab documented by an expensive lab in Fort Worth. And this breakthrough shows to be like 333%. I have to look at the paperwork. More efficient than anything that the Department of Energy has ever heard of.
That's fantastic.
In the world. And so it's a new breakthrough process. And so we can take the water out of the air and run a generator, and ideally before it's finished, a fuel cell, because the generator is like 28% efficient, whereas the fuel cell's 80+% efficient.
Wow, imagine that.
And so, and now the technologies to have storage abilities for your house, to be able to store all this energy at your house is there. And so we intend to demonstrate this soon in front of the White House, not on the private property where they're going to like haul us off and beat us to death.
I don't want that. We're here to enlighten the world and bring them what's, some facts and solutions. We don't need to be getting ourselves in trouble.
We're not martyrs, and if we died, there wouldn't be any virgins waiting for me in heaven. I just don't intend to take a tangent there. There's just a joke. But anyway, yeah, because I think that the original part of the Quran, or where it's probably not even in the Quran, but it probably said like 300-pound virgins.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I just want to tell you that people involved with NASA and people involved with cold fusion have contacted us and want to help us have a demonstrator in that area of low energy nuclear reactions.
Awesome.
And so we're hoping to be able to demonstrate not one, but two. Now, it seems to be taking a long time for us. But you see the path that we've gone on in the wake of 150 years of suppression, technology suppression by people where money is not an object, trillionaires suppressing free market enterprise with monopoly restraint of trade. We're trying to solve all the problem in 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
You can't exactly do 100 years, 150 years worth of suppression in only 3.5 years, huh?
Well, we can almost.
We'll try, we'll do our best.
People say I don't smile enough. It's my teeth, and if you make me laugh, I'll smile. I just think that Obama's kind of ruined smiling for.
Oh no, so he's just kind of ruined the whole smile thing. It just makes you seem like you're being silly and insincere. That's a shame.
Well,
It is certainly a shame.
yeah, I'm into sincerity and not all this smiling like you see on the Joker.
Well, you know what? Who says that you can't one day smile and be sincere? After all, isn't that what happiness and sincerity is all about?
Yeah. So anyway, we're trying to set up demonstrations. Yeah, but I think it's just pathetic that he looks like the Joker, smiling really nice like Caligula. So
Oh,
anyway, we are going to do these demonstrations as soon as we get the ducks in a row, and we hope to do it before World War III. And
hey, let us definitely give it our best shot.
we're
I know you will, though.
we're going to be traveling to make a preliminary video of a device that we'll be showing to show the world that you can take water out of the air and run a generator, and that the exhaust coming out of it is just water again.
Wow.
Okay.
No pollution.
It turns to water again. And people don't know it, but when you burn hydrogen, it does not involve a carbon. So if you're worried about carbon in the air, then run hydrogen.
Excellent.
I mean, that whole argument, the entire argument. So do you have any more questions?
Well, speaking of fundraising, so are there any plans on how to make this happen in the future?
I personally recommend, I'm a team player. People say, well, are you really running for president? Well, yeah, as long as I have to until we can get somebody that's good looking in there. But
Hey, you're pretty handsome.
well, that's kind of you to say, but I mean, we'll take an actor or a famous person just like that. Maybe we can get some people that have said that they're interested in us, like Robert Kennedy Jr. or whoever to help.
Nice.
Okay. He loves free energy.
Awesome.
Back to the point, we want to make this video, and we'll use the video then to campaign to get on the ballot in all the states, and then we can go and do a physical demonstration in front of the Capitol building to get signatures in states where we don't have signatures. Right now, this particular election, people are just making a real mess of themselves. No one, it's up for grabs who wants to be president. But we are talking about demonstrations of free energy. And, it doesn't mean you don't have to pay for things, but we're talking about a free source like the sun or gravity or geothermal energy or the power of the waves. And they say, well, how long is that going to last? I mean, it's not coin operated. It's going to last a long time. And the sun's shining without your permission. And so there are forms of free sources of energy, and that's what we're about.
Okay,
And
sure.
so as far as, a fundraiser, let's get the video showing this technology work for the whole world. And, we're thankful to our maker, and we're glad. We thank God for the fact that we've got technology now that we can show after a long road of suffering. And so let's show that, and then let's get everybody to crowdfund the first collective presidency, where it's not about emperors or personalities. I mean, if I'm able to change the conversation and get everyone having new expectations, then I will have succeeded and I'll have done my part.
Wow. Sounds great. Sounds like we've got a good plan going on. Full free energy.
So when we get the video, then we'll launch the first crowd-funded presidency in history.
Yes.
But we really believe in collective presidencies. In other words, David Frank's idea of people basically voting on their telephones on all of the individual issues, and people being given a chance to be better educated on the issues. And of course, the purchase of government by monopoly is not going to be such a concern if we introduce free energy, because, as we said before, the petrochemical monopolies controlling the main areas of the economic dictatorship. So let's break through and bring in the new paradigm, and many of our problems are going to go away.
Okay.
Are we through?
Sounds like it's a great plan.
Are we finished?
Well, I thank you very much.